had extraordinary scenes. About this time yesterday, or about half an hour ago this time yesterday, we had camels and horses on a cavalry charge into the crowd of anti-Mubarak protesters. The last half hour we just had fireworks being fired by the pro-Mubarak protesters, who are putting up a fierce rearguard action, having been really routed from the area below these flyovers. It's now a battle for supremacy of the overpasses, and at the moment the antis seem to have the upper hand, but the pro-Mubarak lot are fighting back with stones, throwing stones and clubs and everything they can get their hands on. And as I say, half an hour or so ago, there was a man with what looked like a whole lot of pipes strapped to his back, and he ran forward, and out of those pipes fired a series of fireworks that sparked in the air, flares that went over the heads of the anti-Mubarak protesters he was aiming at. Didn't do much in terms of pushing them back, but it was an extraordinary scene in a day of more extraordinary scenes here. You're now looking at a tank that is coming up one of the flyovers. Not quite sure whose side the people in front are on. That tank is shepherding them along, I think trying to remove them off the flyover, and there are soldiers with them. But I have to say, earlier on we did see concerted effort by the military to try and separate those sides. Now it feels more like a token effort. There are just two tanks and a very few soldiers, and you have to ask yourself, where's the rest of the Egyptian military? Whether the Prime Minister apologising for what happened yesterday. Egypt has the region's second largest military, and it also has $1.3 billion worth of annual aid from America in terms of military aid. Just two tanks here trying to keep apart these protesters. If they are trying to stop what happened yesterday, this isn't going to be enough. I think it's very similar to yesterday, just fewer numbers. I was in the square when the pro-Mubarak vanguard, if you like, of thousands of protesters arrived and poured in, and then were met head-on by the anti-Mubarak demonstrators, and there was that very tense standoff. There were a lot of people then, tens of thousands on both sides. There are fewer now. There are a lot in the Tahrir Square area. I can see down behind the Cairo Museum, tens of thousands I would say still there. But this end there aren't so many, but the ones that are here, the anti-Mubarak protesters, certainly have had the better of it today. It is Stone Age scenes really. Groups of, well, hundreds of youths throwing rocks at each other, struggling for territory, pushing forwards and going back. We've seen pincer movements, we've seen counter-attacks, we've seen them surging forward and then retreating. And I think unless a lot more pro-Mubarak supporters join this effort here, they're not going to prevail today. There are just a few hundred on the screen you can see now. They're putting up a fierce fight. They're all look the same. They've all got the same short hair. They're all around the same age. It reinforces claims from the opposition, from the democracy protesters, that these are essentially a rent-a-mob, either plainclothes police or policemen in mufti and civilian clothes, or they're the kind of people that the security forces have used in the past, hired in the past, to throw against opposition protests before all this began. They do all look very similar, and they seem to have a level of organisation and a determination that suggests they are organised centrally, but they're not getting the better of it at the moment. At the moment the antis are gradually pushing forward behind that screen of metal shields that you can see on one of the flyovers there. That's the tactic the antis are using at the moment. They huddle behind them and they throw rocks and they inch forward, and then they claim the ground, and they rarely have to yield that ground. They get enough numbers behind them, are able to force their way forward and force their enemy off the territory they're trying to claim. Yeah, there's a lot of concern about that, and I was watching last night as this fighting is going on. I'm not sure if you can move the camera up a little bit just to show you the orange wall to the salmon pink wall of the Cairo Museum. That has in it priceless artefacts, as you say. It's one of Egypt's real cultural treasures. The gates in that wall went up in flames last night as petrol bombs were repeatedly thrown against it.